I'm really hoping I'm not giving you guys complexes, because that is the last thing I want to do. So let's talk about health real quick, in addition to what I'm already going to talk about in health for the rest of it. Let's talk about skin, because skin is super easy. You want healthy skin? Eat carrots. Carrots are super important for healthy skin. Anytime that I feel like my skin isn't being super healthy, I'll buy a big bag of carrots, wash them up, and eat them. I'm not going to bother going into the science of these things. I'm just spouting out things that I know from my knowledge of health and my expertise in health and naturopathic health, that these things work, but I'm not going to bother with the time of explaining it all, because we're already going to probably go over a little bit. So, skin. Eat lots of carrots. There's also plenty of herbs that help with skin, but carrots are the main food for skin. That and good, healthy, meaty fats. So, beef and pork. Those are good for skin and health as well, or skin health and hair health as well. Fitness part of it. Let's talk about that real quick. The biggest mistake in trying to lose weight is, one, starving yourself, which we'll talk about in a second, but two, is doing cardio. Cardio is super healthy. Cardio is super good for you. But if your goal is to lose weight, cardio is not the thing that you need to be focusing on. You need to be focusing on building muscle. And one other thing to remember before I go into that is, when you're building muscle, a pound of muscle is like this big, or about the size of your palm. I forgot most of you can't see me. It's about the size of your palm. Whereas a pound of muscle, actually no, that's about 5 pounds of muscle is about the size of your palm. And the 5 pounds of fat is 2 watermelons. Yeah, probably about 2 watermelons. No, about a watermelon and a half, something like that. So when you're not losing weight, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not losing size. And that's what you're actually wanting. So getting fit doesn't necessarily reflect the scale. But anyway, building muscle. And that's, guys especially like butts. So some of the best workouts that you can do, butts and legs. Some of the best workouts you can do are lunges and squats. And if you really want to, you can just do that while watching TV, because those can be stationary and you can just watch TV while you go up and down, working those leg muscles. Because building muscle, you're burning energy even while you're not working out. Whereas cardio, you're only burning energy when you're running. So as you burn that energy, the fat stores get turned into energy. And one other thing I want to clarify, I know some of you aren't fat, some of you are very skinny, and that's also a problem. And we'll talk about that, but I'm already going over, so I'm sorry if I don't get to you. So work out those muscles, not just run. Already talked about carrots, but don't starve yourself. Make sure that if you're hungry, eat. There is foods that you can eat that will take up more space in your stomach than otherwise, but if you're hangry, eat some food. So if your energy levels are low, your willpower is low, so your discipline will be low, and then you will make stupid decisions and you won't want to work out. So the idea of starving yourself to get into shape is a terrible idea. It does not work. It never has worked. And there's a reason why that people who do that gain the same weight back, if not more. So don't do that. Don't starve yourself. However, eating more fruits and vegetables have much less weight that they add to you, and they help with the parts of the body that help you regulate your weight and your hormones. There's so much to talk about. So eat that, but make sure that you're still eating plenty of protein and meats and stuff like that, so that way you can keep your energy levels up and keep healthy, keep your brain functioning proper. So do all of that. Script. New plan. We're going to make this into 2 parts. Don't know where exactly I'll split it, but we're going to make it into 2 parts because there's just too much to talk about, and there's so much to talk about with guys too. So maybe this month all we're going to do is talk about the attraction part. And maybe we'll postpone all of health for all of next year. We'll just not do it this season and do just health next year. So anyway, I'm going to split it into 2 parts most likely. I'm not sure exactly where, but that's what we're going to do. So another tip. Your brain cannot distinguish between hunger and thirst. So if you're hungry, drink first. If you're still hungry after that, eat. If you're low on energy, definitely eat. Make sure you're staying hydrated, because hydration is also super important to losing weight and getting in shape. I keep talking about losing weight, but I know not all of you are heavy. It's just the majority of you are. And I can relate very much to that. The problem with health is that all it seems to want to talk about is losing weight. And I am a very skinny man. I do not want to lose weight. I want to gain weight. But I want to do it healthy, not unhealthily. So it's much harder. Okay, next let's talk about health problems real quick. So if you have trouble taking off weight, there's probably a couple different main things that could be an issue. One, it could be food allergies. Everyone is allergic to wheat. It's just what level of allergic you are to it. So you might try cutting out grains. You might try cutting out dairy. In addition, you might have problems with your gut, and problems with weight regulation often stem from your gut. So doing things like making a beef broth or a bone broth can be very beneficial to fixing that. And it also can be very, very cheap. Just go to your local butcher or chop shop or processing plant. Ask them what they do with their scraps. And oftentimes you can get the bones and the scraps for free, if not at a super, super cheap price. And then you just boil that down, and there's a gelatinous part to the broth that really helps with your gut and your GI tract, which is your digestive system. Also can be hormonal problems. There's herbs that help with that, but first, everyone should do this, but lay off the sugar. The sugar is very bad, especially if you have hormonal problems, and especially if you're trying to get in shape. Lay off the sugar. Also, make sure that you cut out the things that are imbalancing your hormones. If you are female, odds are it's your estrogen that is a little too high, but it could be your testosterone. That's something that you might get checked. But if your estrogen is high, cut out things, especially tofu. Cut out things breads, milk, dairy. Those are all estrogen foods. If you want to increase, and that's if you want to decrease your estrogen. And when I talk about girls increasing their testosterone, I want to be clear. This will not make you look manly. You need both. Both human beings need both. It's just girls need a little bit more estrogen than guys, and guys need a little bit more testosterone than girls. But if it's unbalanced, where your estrogen is really high and your testosterone is really low, it'll cause problems. Same as if it's really high in guys and really low in estrogen for guys, it'll cause problems. So you just need to make sure that it's balanced. So if you're having problems with weight loss, odds are you're probably high on estrogen. So it's important to increase your testosterone. Meats especially are great for building up your testosterone. Spicy foods also help build your testosterone. But that one's a little bit more anecdotal than I'd like to just put out there. But there's a reason why for a good portion of history, women were supposed to eat the sweeter, mellower foods, and guys were supposed to eat the hotter, spicier foods, because there's scientific evidence that those things increase estrogen versus testosterone. However, if you're having problems, you might want to try eating meaty, spicy foods to help build that up. But that is not 100% clinically proven yet. Not that anything is, but I just want to clarify that that's something that you could try, but not necessarily. I'm talking about the spicy part. Meats have been proven to increase testosterone. Doing that bone broth will also help with that, in addition to helping heal your gut. And most of us have gut problems. So whether you're trying to put on weight, lose weight, just get more in shape, have more energy, all of you will benefit from doing that. So there's that. Some herbs that help with different things if you have gut problems. Licorice root and marshmallow root, these are plants, not the candies, help with gut problems as well. Hormonal problems, I'm not remembering off the top of my head. I know for hyperthyroid that bugleweed helps, but I don't remember what. So if you're super skinny, that might be something you look into. But for hypothyroid, which is slow thyroid, which is big, I don't remember off the top of my head. For joint pain, so maybe you have trouble working out because you have joint pains and stuff like that, there's an herb that is abundant, especially in wet areas in America, near waters and stuff like that, is a really mean looking plant called teasel, and its roots are especially beneficial for joint pain and neurological pain and stuff like that, and broken bones and stuff like that, because its Chinese name, it means to mend what is broken, and it just helps with that kind of pain. It fixes. It doesn't numb, it fixes. So that is an extremely beneficial herb if you have problems with working out because of that. All right, skinny girls. Let's talk about you real quick. Same thing. Issues could be making you skinny that make other people heavy. Gut problems. Get the gut problems fixed. Hormone problems. Get the hormone problems fixed. Your diet. Make sure that you are eating heavy caloric foods. Oil your food up and eat as much as you can handle. But none of that will do any good if you have digestive issues, if you have hormonal issues, because your body likes to keep the status quo. And if the status quo is messed up, then it doesn't really matter how much you eat. It can help. You can slowly crawl your way up. But if there's underlying problems, it's like a bunch of weights weighing you down. Get those fixed first, and then you can move forward. And I know All of this is easier said than done, but it's worth it, and go for it. So, last thing I want to talk about, especially since I am out of time, is not every girl in the world has problems with attracting men. Some girls in the world have a problem with too many guys being attracted to them and them not being able to find somebody worth their time. First reaction to, I'm sure most of you, is boo freaking who. But it's important. I can relate to this a lot nowadays. That probably sounded really cocky, but I can relate to this because I go on lots of dates. I meet lots of people. Piquing most girls' interests is not hard for me at this point. However, I am not interested in any of those girls that I can pique. So I'm constantly struggling with self-doubt, with struggle, with am I good enough? Because I can get a certain caliber of girls up to a point. But beyond that point, which is the caliber of girls that I've been interested in, they have no interest in me, and I might as well not exist to them. So, it still hurts. It's still annoying and painful. In fact, in some ways, it's more painful to be not quite good enough than not at all. Now, I've been on both sides of it. Also, sorry if my voice sounds a little bad. I just realized that it's kind of croaky. If I've been on both sides of it. I know both sides really, really suck. And I just wanted to clarify that so you guys don't go, oh, boo freaking who. And there's I don't really have too much advice for this because I'm still struggling with this. And if you guys have advice for me on how to get the people that are just slightly out of reach to be interested in you, then let me know. But I don't really have advice, but I do have a couple of warnings. 1, you might be healthy and attractive right now, but if you do stupid things like drink alcohol, party all the time, you're going to shorten your level of attractiveness time period down drastically. And 2, there's actually a term for this, but basically, I'll just use super basic terminologies for it. If you're a 10 and you're able to get caliber 10 level guys, that's the caliber of guys that you're always expecting. But over time, when you make those stupid choices, you might drop down to a 9. Well, you can still get those level 10 guys. They're just not interested in marrying you anymore. They're just interested in dating you, maybe having fun with you, stuff like that. If you drop down to an 8, those 10 level guys you still can get them occasionally, but the odds of you getting in a relationship with them are super low. And you're used to these high caliber, charismatic guys. And now the guys that you can get are boring, lame, and stuff like that, unattractive. You don't want that. But as time progresses, you will go down in attractiveness. Again, I don't want to make complexes, but you will go down in attractiveness. So if you're too busy partying and not finding somebody that you can build a life with, you're going to eventually run out of time and you will have to lower your expectations. Same thing is going for me. I was willing to wait a decade because I started this when I was super young, but I might have to settle for less than the elite caliber of girl that I'm after because I'm running out of time. I'm only 23, so I still have plenty of time left, especially since I'm a guy. And guys have a much later period of their prime than girls do. But I still have time, but if I don't climb fast enough, if I don't climb to that summit fast enough, then they're not going to be interested in me. Another important thing to remember, and I'll close with this, is you don't want somebody to feel like they're settling. If you want a certain caliber of person, you need to become somebody that person would be absolutely ecstatic to be with. Now, do you necessarily have to do it? No, you might get lucky and get there early. Do you have to be that caliber of person right now? Also not necessarily true. It can be what you're aiming for, and you can borrow from what you're aiming for to be and lead that to and help that convey your value. But if you are a value taker, the likelihood of you attracting people is extremely slim. Whereas if you're the person with the abundance of value, people will flock towards you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I probably will divide it in two. Please don't hate me. I hope this was helpful. I will see you all next week.